seekers, joy givers, you are at the right place. This is Deb McGregor. It is our last fall infusion of joy session. And I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to miss this because it's been a blast, but I cannot think of a better person to welcome to this session than Samantha Thibert. I almost got oh my gosh, are you kidding? Samantha Thibert, are you kidding me? This happened to me last week. I was like, rah. Samantha Thibert, I'm going to get it right. And she is with Northern Spruce Studio. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I'm laughing because I feel like I practice to make sure I get these names just right. And then why do I start mumbling over? It's like, are you kidding me? Why do I do that? It's not like I haven't known you for a long time.
Well, I probably threw you off because I typed Samantha in and we kind of just, you know me, so I usually just go by Sam. So
I know. It's so true. It's so true. Well, Sam, you are the owner of Northern Spruce Studio, and this involves interior design, decor, this type of thing. And I really wanted to start out by asking you, like, how does a person get into this field? Is this something you, since you were a little kid, you always just like, oh, I just had a knack, or you go to school? Like, how does this work?
You know, I feel like it's different for everybody, and I love when I get together with other designers, and that's usually a question that comes up a lot is, how did you get into this? Because we all have such different paths. But for me, I always knew I wanted to do something creative. In fact, when I graduated college, my mom gave me this framed picture of what I made in kindergarten saying, I want to be an artist when I grow up. And it had me with like a drawing table and a sewing machine and all this. And so I think I've always in my mind, wanted to do something creative. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't good at sports. Like that wasn't my thing. I was always the kid in the art room that stayed late or, went into theater and things like that. So it took me a while to find interior design. So it wasn't a straight path for me. But I think because of that, I appreciate it more.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you find it?
So I was really big, and I still am, but big into pottery. I found my art kind of outlet as ceramics and wheel thrown pottery. And so after school, when I was in middle school and high school, I would go to a studio. It was a retired art teacher. And she would teach me pottery and, had these little lessons for me, today we're going to make a teapot or something. And I would work on it for like 3 nights in a row until I got it right. And I thought that's what I wanted to do, is to open up my own like pottery, either studio or classroom. And I went and I looked at a college that had a great visual arts program. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. And the woman who was teaching me pottery actually told me before I left, she's like, just go see what else is there. Just humor me, go check it out. And I fell in love with this program called Design Technology. And it was right next to the arts building. And you saw like all the buzz between the two buildings, kids going back and forth. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't realize I could do creative work, not just making art, I could do design. And so learning the difference between art and design, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand, but then I fell into this program and kind of jumped right in, and I still took my art classes on the side, and I maxed out like my credits that they'd let me take every semester because I just wanted to do it all. And I went from pottery to then I did graphic design, and then I did 3D design and started doing these corporate spaces and getting really into that, like corporate lobbies. What do lobby or meeting rooms look like? If somebody wanted to design their whole new office building, because everybody was opening up for more open concepts. Got really involved with that. I ended up moving for a position for exhibit and corporate design. And I did that for several years. And then I started getting these phone calls from family members and friends, and they're like, hey, I hear you do design. Could you look at our living room and maybe help me design that? And I would like, oh, I guess I didn't really think about that, but yeah, sure. And I started taking on these side jobs. And then I found that that's really what got me excited, is to design, because I could kind of really go with what people gravitate towards and what brings people joy. Is it something that's calming? Is it something that's really energetic and exciting? and I got to use a lot more of the design techniques when
Mhm.
you look at somebody's residential space, because you're
Yeah.
not tied into, which I still do, but you're not tied into the corporate colors. You can really play with textures and different feels and moods. And so I got enough calls where I decided that, hey, this could be a really good side business.
Mhm.
And I it's been going great, I guess, ever since, and it's kind of evolved through there. And then once COVID came, I did a lot more of it, and then I ended up changing my career slightly, and I'm also an interior designer for a corporate company as well. So
Wow.
it's
So
kind of been a
yeah,
path,
you
but
get
I
it.
love
Yeah.
it.
Talk to me about when someone comes to you and says, Sam, I need your help. I
Mhm.
have this space. I don't like, how do you start with that person? What does this process look like?
Yes, it's a process, and I feel like I go in with a plan, and it always depends on the personality, right? And how things evolve and how their mind works too. If they're really visual, if they want to be part of the shopping process, or if they just want to see the pretty picture at the end, it kind of depends. But I first like to have a discovery call, and we usually get off topic a little bit, but that's part of it. Learning their personalities, what understanding what spaces they want to focus on.
Mhm.
If it's just for them, sometimes there's really important things that maybe give us some restrictions. Like, I
Mhm.
have a little one that's crawling and they're going to tug on anything, so we got to be mindful of that. Or pets, or maybe they're allergic to something, like different dust elements. So there's those details too that you got to get in there. But I first like to just talk about what makes you happy? What do you
Yeah.
want to use this space for?
Yeah.
What if it's something that relaxes, you want to be relaxed? What stresses you out? Like, what are things that we should try and tuck away or avoid? Or, it all depends, but it's usually just a great, usually over coffee, just a good discovery session. If they're in a location where I can go visit, I love to see the space before we do anything. But yeah,
So
and then it goes from there, I guess.
yeah, so it sounds like you probably have some people you work with long distance, other people in person.
Mhm.
How far do you travel out? Like I'm visualizing there could be people watching this going, "Oh, do you travel to this location?"
Well, it varies. I mean, there's a lot of times people that are local, but I do have, friends that have referred me because their neighbor came over or something like that. Like, I was talking with a girl in Wisconsin who's a neighbor to a girlfriend of mine, and she wants me to look at their living room. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can, do Zoom, and I can, figure out what we can buy with the budget that you provide, and I'll ship everything there, and then I'll plan a trip because I already have friends or family over there, and I'll help you. We're just going to spend like 2 days. We're going to do it together, and we're going to decorate, and we're going to paint, and it's just going to be a get your hands dirty, get in there. But it's not impossible, to travel. I get really excited about it too, and I feel like I want to be there, you know. Uh,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I would say, nothing's not attainable for coming to visit. Or but now with technology, even like what we're doing now, there's
Yeah.
so much you can do. Just FaceTime or Zoom or pictures, it makes it really easy.
So it sounds like sometimes you literally just design the space and other times you actually get in and do the work. You
Hmm.
mentioned the painting thing. So talk to me about the scope of what your offering is.
It varies. It really does. It kind of depends on if the person that's looking for help is a doer and wants to do some of it and be a part of it. Or, it might be somebody's lake cabin and they're not even there right now, but they would love to have it ready for this season because they have a new, daughter-in-law and grandkids coming over. So that might be something where they do want me to come and help and get it all set up.
Yeah,
It all just
absolutely.
depends, and that's kind of what that discovery session is. And so usually I don't, quote anything until after the discovery session where I can
Right.
really figure out what's needed and give them options. Like, hey, you know, you can do this and do the painting yourself, order it yourself,
Mhm.
or if you want my help, we can look at it this way too. So very
Yeah.
flexible.
It's nice to have those options because I think a lot of times people don't even know what they're looking for.
Right.
They think, I know I need some help, but I'm not exactly sure where to start. I
Hmm.
imagine this comes up a lot. So I'm curious, do you have a certain type of style or texturing or anything that you like to work with? Like something that if you work with Sam, you just know it's probably going to have some of this element to it.
Ooh, that is a good wood elements. I love wood elements. Whether it's in the kitchen, I love wood cutting boards, definitely. If it's looking at redoing flooring, I love paying attention to different grains in flooring. I think that's really important. If it's a space where it's all carpet and white walls, I will definitely throw in some like wood bowls for your keys by the door, or a wooden base or something. I think wood elements and knit textures. I am definitely guilty of really pushing the knit textures or anything wool textures. I'm all about touch as well. And you'll see me in a store. I like to touch everything. I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
So
I love this.
texture is big for me and kind of mixing those up. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what about colors? Like, do you have certain colors that you're just like, oh,
Yes, I have like a little binder of my go-to colors, like paint
mhm.
swatches and things like that I'll take with me if, because some people know. Some people have their Pinterest board is ready to show me and they know, I want this color and this accent, but don't know maybe how to source or
Mhm.
what elements go with it. And some are like, I have no idea. I just know I don't want it this color, that it is,
Yeah.
so show me some options. So I usually have a binder of my go-tos for neutrals and some colors, but for personally, green. I love greens. I really,
What type?
really
All
do.
shades of green or just certain kind of greens?
I like really soft greens.
Mm.
And in fact, was it Benjamin Moore, the paint company? Their color of the year this year was one of my favorite colors. It was like October Mist, I think it was called. And I
Oh,
celebrated and I like forwarded it to everyone. I was like, this is my year.
oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
But I love, with for accents, I love an emerald green, like in a little bit of a pillow on the bed or something like that, or glassware. I don't know. Green, it seems like it never really goes out of style, and you can always make it work. So that would be my go-to for me
So
personally.
where do you find stuff for people's houses? Do you love shopping for people's things? It's
I
really
do.
great when it's someone else's money, right?
Right? I do. I love shopping, and I feel like I do it even just for myself. Even if I'm not, buying anything, I'm always looking at what different lines have come out with. You should see my inbox. It's terrible because I get all of the notifications. I want to know as soon
Yeah,
as
you want
something
to know
new
what's
comes
coming
out.
out, right?
Yes. And I have different tabs saved, just to if I know somebody's looking for something, I have my favorite spots to shop kind of on hand there, or I'll save, on Amazon or Wayfair or whatever it is. I have like my little favorites folders that they'll let me keep. And then I usually, pick from there and send them a few things to see, is this kind of what you're thinking of? Does this fall into the style that you're looking for?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but I love it. I'm a shopper, so
Yeah. You love to shop, so it works out well.
it
Do
does.
you do you get any of your stuff at like the thrift stores or
Yes.
secondhand places? Is that kind of a thing?
Yes, I love thrift shopping. I Every time we see a rummage sale sign, whoever's in the car with me, like you hear the groan because I immediately turn the car around. We're gonna go check it out.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I know I'm like that. I don't do it all the time, but if I'm in that mood, it's like because you never know what you're gonna find.
It's so true. It's so true. And some of those things that you get from antique stores or thrift stores or whatever, it has so much character to it. It's so unique, and I love even if there's one piece that you can bring in from an antique store or a thrift store. And I try to do that a lot with when I do my designs because they're talking points, right?
Yep,
You know, if
absolutely.
everything's new, and somebody says, "Oh, I really like your living room." You're
Yep.
like, "Oh, I got it all at Target and Wayfair and, TJ Maxx and this." But if you
Mhm.
have a piece that's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to tell you this story. I was in the middle of nowhere and we went to this rummage sale and I found these candlesticks and they just make the room go together."
Yes.
Um, it's about talking points too, and enjoying the process as well.
Absolutely. Well, and I have found like you find so many like people that had farmhouses or these things. And I mean, it's the stuff like my grandmother used to work with. And there's something about bringing a little bit of that nostalgia in. And I
Yeah.
find for myself, I find as I get older that that has gotten more relevance to me. Like it's funny how, I mean, this is just, I'm sort of aging myself a little bit here, but it's funny how that does start happening. I notice that as I get older that those things sort of have a different meaning to me than maybe they did 20 years ago, you
Yep,
know? And isn't that why we are constantly sprucing it up? That's what I'm right. Like that's part of
definitely.
it, right? I mean, it just makes so much sense to me.
It
So what
does.
are some of the trends that we're noticing right now in the design world?
Oh, gosh, and it all depends. I feel like different styles have different trends and corporate versus residential, but I'll say, for the holidays,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, knit textures are still a big thing, which I am loving because I love those anyway, so
Yes.
knit stockings. I feel like eclectic looks
Hmm.
are definitely more in, everything doesn't have to be so clean and simple and matching. It's really nice to mix in some of those different textures. Maybe all of your vases don't match, or if it's the holidays, your stockings don't match. I love that look, that they're all not from the same store. Maybe they have
Yes.
a similar color story to them, but it makes it look more lived in too, which I'm
Hmm.
definitely loving. I think previously we had like a cycle of everything was nice and clean and white and black edging on it, which was great. And it always looked clean. But I think with COVID and everybody being home, they've really started to bring in some more colors and textures and eclectic kind of looks. And I think we're going to continue to see a lot more of that. But speaking of the nostalgic, there's a trend that started a little bit last year during the holidays, and I've seen a lot more of it now. And I'm so excited because more stores are starting to carry them, are some of the old brass elements. And you're seeing it a lot in the holiday stuff, like so brass bells, brass jingle bells. I was just shopping on Target and saw that they had some of those added to the wreaths for your front doors. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm loving it. I really am. And I think it just adds that little touch of charm and kind of gives a good story for thinking about memories. I don't know. There's something warm about it that I'm really liking.
Well, and I love that you're bringing this up because I always, with trends for me, sometimes I'm always thinking, okay, who's driving the trend? Is it that the trend comes out, then people start buying, so then it becomes the thing? Like, who
Mhm.
comes up with this stuff, right? Like, I'm always fascinated, like, why all of a sudden did this look come in or this whatever? And it's like brass bells. Like, who decided to add the bells on the wreath this year? You know what I mean? But
Right.
then it becomes a thing, right? Well, and it's kind of interesting because I actually just got a catalog and I noticed bubble lights in there. And bubble lights were a thing in my husband's family. And so we have a set of bubble lights that we put up every single year. We actually put them on the mantle. We don't put them on the tree, we put them on the mantle.
Oh,
And
yep.
I
Mhm.
picked up this catalog. Bubble lights. I can't believe it. There's
Now you're
bubble
in
lights.
trend.
And I was laughing because I'm thinking, hey, we were in trend before it was a trend, and I've never had that happen before, you know? But how cool is that? But that's, I love when we start to see those things. I always say to my kids, like, okay, you know how they tell you on all these organizing things, get rid of the stuff, this and that. But the irony is, all these styles that are in now, it's like, are you kidding me? I had a whole really nice wardrobe of those things that I got rid of.
I know.
Right? It's like, what? It's so funny. I actually saw this pair of jeans. I'm like, I wore that type of jeans in 8th grade. Exactly that type of jean in 8th grade.
Yep.
Now, mind you, I could not fit into them now, but okay, that's a different conversation, right?
Well, it's so true though. It definitely is a cycle. It really is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of holidays, so we talked a little bit about trends. What are some hot tips that you can give us for people maybe wanting to like spruce it up a bit for the holidays? Let's just give people we'll give them little insider tips from you.
That sounds great. So, for if you're looking for Thanksgiving, I would say tablescapes are everything. And I know Thanksgiving's like right around the corner tomorrow. um, but if you don't have a plan yet, I would say shop your house. I do that so often, and it's so easy to do, and it's something maybe when we're in a panic of, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I have people coming over. I got to go to the store. You don't have to, and you don't have to spend a lot. I would shop your home. Think about, for tablescapes, a table runner. Maybe you have some in the linen closet, but maybe you don't. But what are other things that you could use as a table runner? Because I can almost guarantee you, if you put curtains or a scarf and just tuck the edges or the loops, nobody is even going to question it that it's not a table runner. I've done it plenty of times and nobody's caught on.
I know I got desperate one year and I took napkins and I literally so I did a napkin, then angled the next one, right in different colors. And people are like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool thing. I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, if you only knew, right? But it worked.
Yes.
I love that. I love that shop your house because we all have stuff in our homes that can be used.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you may, maybe you've decorated in a couple rooms, but you're having company over for Thanksgiving or a Friendsgiving, meal or something. And nobody's going to go hang out in the living room because everybody's going to be focused on the dining room. Go take some, a couple of the little things that you put on there, they were nice, but put them somewhere where people are going to see and showcase. You don't have to stock everything with decor. Just get it sparingly, spend on a couple things that really make you happy, bring you joy, and then just move those pieces around. I move my centerpieces around like a couple times a week, I'm going to be honest, depending on if I think somebody's coming in or not, and just switch it up, and it looks new, and I love it. Even like candlesticks. If there's one thing that you want to look for when you go to like a thrift store, or put on your Christmas list, candlesticks for tapered candles. I love them. And I give them as wedding gifts to friends and family too, because I feel like that's something that people don't really think about, but it adds such a design element to your table, or even in your kitchen, or I put mine, by a fireplace, even just next to it. And it just adds such warmth. And get something in neutral colors and you can use it all year round. You could use it for, Thanksgiving and Christmas. You can use it during Easter time. You can use it for just a casual dinner and you want to spruce things up a bit, just put your candlesticks on there and it looks like you tried.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you get like a silver or something, you can switch out the color of the candle, right? Which then you can just add in any color. I mean, look at me trying to do design. Okay, that was my attempt for the day, Sam.
No, but absolutely. You're right on though. I have the back of one of my kitchen drawers is stocked with tapered candles in various colors, and I just buy them after season. They're on clearance. They're usually like 75% off, and I just have a stash of them. And it costs hardly anything then to just stick up, the candles come next Thanksgiving, and it looks great.
I love this. What about some ideas moving into Christmas? Any other cute little just like things to throw out ideas?
Yeah. So if you have Christmas trees or garland or a wreath, after you go, whether it's pre-lit or you put the lights on yourself, I started doing this a few years back, and it was a game changer. It seems silly, but it adds so much. Buy those they're called twinkle lights, or sometimes they're called fairy lights. They're the really thin wire strands. They're usually battery packed. I bought by the bulk, well, not bulk, but I bought like a pack of 5 of them on Amazon or something, and put those after you put your lights on, put them in your tree or in your wreath as well, and it adds such depth because they twinkle off pattern of whatever your other Christmas lights are doing, and they're so tiny, and it's magical. You have to do it.
What a great idea. I love this idea. It's so good.
And I add them everywhere. It's one of those shop your home things too. So if I have somebody coming over for dinner, then I just take one of those strands that maybe I had on the mantle and I weave it into whatever we have going on the table, and it just adds so much.
Yeah. And it's just a little thing, but it's a little thing that makes such a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, anything else we need to share with people? I can't believe our time is like, the time's going fast.
Tree skirts. I see people doing this. Just put your little tree skirt down and then the presents. But then when you take your presents off, it looks so bare underneath there, right? Once you don't have that depth, a lot of the times there's that empty space, and we can buy those tree collars, but they're expensive. I usually put one of my blankets around, a chunky blanket, and it fills it out. You can even put it under your tree skirt if you don't have a blanket that's going with whatever color scheme you have going on. But it just adds depth and fluff, and it makes it look so lush, and it looks like you spent $100 on a tree skirt, and it's something you had in your linen closet.
Yeah, I love this. I'm visualizing that the animals would want to go nice and fluffy on their. I mean, what a great picture right there, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's comfy, it's fluffy. I mean, there's sort of that homey, right? It goes back to this warmth that you're talking about. Well, Sam, is there anything else? I mean, I feel like there's so much we could talk about. We need to let people know that they can find you at Northern Spruce Studio. You're on Facebook and Insta, and you're obviously active on those. So if people want to reach out to you, they can get in touch with you there. Make sure they're following you. Any other tips that you want to share with people or make sure people know about?
I would say, design is subjective. It really is. At the end of the day, there's no right answer. I would love that there was, but there isn't, and that's part of the fun of it. So whatever makes you happy and brings you joy, bring that into your home. It might not be the most don't listen to the trends 100% of the time. Do what makes you happy. And when people come into your home, they're going to be able to feel that. And that's what's most important.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because people can tell the difference, can't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely, they can. Yes.
And if you're doing a home just to be photographed by a magazine, it's probably not necessarily what the quote lived in home is going to feel like, right? Like there's that also. So, well, Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I just put Northern Spruce Studio into the comments so people can find you. This has been amazing.
It has. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
It's great to see you.
Oh, I know it's good to see you too. I've been seeing you in person, but it's good to see you on at least this way, right?
Yep.
You have shared so many great tips and given us so much insight into the world of design and what you do. And it was helpful for me, and I'm making up that it's got to be helpful for other people too, because I mean, I always look at if it's something I want, other people want it, right?
Yep.
If we sit there and go, okay, somebody else probably wants some of these ideas too, or they want to know a little bit more about the decorating world, like we just need to put it out there, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I just think it's so great. So thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm actually a couple of your ideas like, oh, I might go try that. So I'm going to go house shop. I'm kind of excited now. You got me excited about the shop your house idea. That, by the way, that's a great title for a blog. I hope you go write that blog.
That's a good idea. I will actually write that down. We were talking about writing things down.
Yeah. I wrote down that holiday ready is another one. What does it look like to be holiday ready? That would be another good blog for you. So I hope you take that. All right, Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we want to thank all of you for choosing to join us today for our Fall Infusion of Joy series. This is our last edition in fall. We will be back with you in 2023, wishing all of you happy Thanksgiving. And I'm going to just go ahead and wish you Merry Christmas at the same time because I probably won't see you before then. So thanks, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day.